Hello everyone, so in this video we're going to be building an image upload application using the Cloudinary API. So you're going to be able to select images from your local environment and then upload them into your Cloudinary account. And just to give you a demo of how this is going to work, I'm going to click on this, which is going to open up this window, the file explorer, and then I'm going to select an image here, and then I'm going to click on upload, and once it uploads then it should show right there. Okay, and then I'm going to go into my Cloudinary console, and then when I reload this, then it should show the image as the first item here. And there we go. So it works correctly. So we're going to be using the Cloudinary API, and obviously you're going to need to create an account with Cloudinary if you don't have one yet, and then we can begin. Okay, so we're going to use this repository. It's called Cloudinary Image Upload. I'm going to leave a link for it in the description, so always make sure to read the description. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to copy this link right here, and then I'm going to open up Visual Studio Code, and I'm going to open up my terminal using Control and J, like so. And then I'm going to cd into my desktop, and then I'm just going to say git clone and then paste the link in. If you don't have git installed, which I recommend you do have git installed, then what you can do is you can just go right on this button, and then you can download the zip file and extract it. It's going to work the same way. Okay, so I'm going to let this run, and then once it finishes running, then I'm going to open up Visual Studio Code into this folder by saying cd Cloudinary image upload, and then I'm just going to say code dot, which is going to open up another instance of Visual Studio Code into this folder, and then I can now close this down. Okay, once that opens like so, so close this and this. Okay, and then the first thing that I'm going to need to do is run npm install, and what npm install does is it's going to check our package.json file, and then it's going to install all the dependencies in that file, and it's going to create a node modules folder, which we really need in order to run commands such as npm start right here. Okay, so for example, if I try to run npm run start, it's going to throw an error because React scripts is not recognized. So the only way it's going to be recognized is once you run npm install and it has the node modules folder. So let's go ahead and say npm install. Now this is going to take a while to run, so as it runs, then I'm just going to go through this code that we have. Okay, so in our package.json file, I've installed Axios, which we're going to use to send post requests to the Cloudinary API. We have Cloudinary React, which we are going to be using to display our image once we upload it into the Cloudinary API. We have React, which is currently at version 18 or 18.0.1. I did this about a week ago, and I think they've updated it. We have React DOM, we have React Scripts, which is now currently at version 5.0.1. This was also updated. And then for the dev dependencies, we have auto prefixer, which adds vendor prefixes into our CSS using the latest information from caniuse.com. And we have post CSS, which works almost the same way as auto prefixer. And then we have tailwind CSS, which is we are going to use for our styling. Okay, so I should mention that when I was building this application, the React devs hadn't updated this code to use React root. Okay, to use root.render. Sorry, it was still using React DOM, which was giving an error in the console. So this is what they recommended in their documentation. But currently, if you run npx create React app, it's going to canvas a new React application for you, and it's going to be using this as well. You can read more about this in their documentation. In our index.css, I have imported a font called Inter right here with weights of 600 and 700. And I've set it to the default font here, and then I have the custom classes here just because I want to move a bit faster. So the wrapper is going to be our entire application, which I've set to a flexbox with a height of 100 viewport height so that everything is going to be centered. The heading is going to be our h1, which is just the Cloudinary image upload, the title. The articles are going to be our input and our button, and of course we have styled them differently here, our input, our button, and then our image container is what is going to display our image once we upload it into the Cloudinary API. So I'm just going to leave these classes here because I don't want to deal too much with the CSS. And then when you check the app.js, then this is what we have in our app.js. So we have useState for our state values, obviously. We have Axios, which sends our post request, which is this right here. We have image, the component called image, which is coming from Cloudinary React, which displays our image right here. Okay, so please be sure to go through this as well. Please read this, okay, because we're going to be changing a bit of this. So for example, here we're not going to be using your cloud name. We're going to check our cloud name, and then we're going to use it right there, and then and I'm going to show you where we're going to get this, as well as right here. So your upload preset, I'm going to show you where you're going to get this as well once you've created your Cloudinary account. Okay, so before we get started, what I want to do is I just want to clean all of this up, and I just want to say RFC, which is going to create a React function component for me if the extension is going to work, which it doesn't. So let me just say export default function app, like so, and then I'm just going to return an H1 that says Cloudinary image upload, like so. Okay, my computer started. It does this every single time that I record, and I don't really know why. Probably because OBS uses quite a bit of RAM. Okay, so let's check whether this has finished running, and not yet. So once it finishes running, then I'm going to be back. Okay, so once this finishes running, you can see we have our node modules folder right here. And then now we can run npm run start, which is going to spin up our dev server on localhost 3000, and then we can begin building away. Okay, so if you did everything correctly, if you go to localhost 3000, which it should open up automatically for you, then you should see Cloudinary image upload only, right? So the first thing that we do need to do is, because we already have our CSS right here, right? We already have our CSS. So what I want to do is I just want to place this to the right, and then I want to build out our application, how it's going to look. So the first thing that I want to do is I want to create a div with a class of wrapper, right? Like so. And then I want to create an H1 with a class of heading, and this is going to say Cloudinary image upload, like so. And just to show you that this is working, I'm going to save this, and when we go back to our application, then this goes to the center, and it is styled just a bit differently. And then below this, we're going to have an article with a class of article, which is this right here, okay? And then the article with the class of article is going to have an input with a type of file. So the input with the type of file is what enables us to select images from our file explorer. So the name for this is just going to be file, the ID is going to be file, and then the class name for this is going to be input. Okay, so we have just a bit of styling reset. Okay, so this right here, this class, and then below this we're going to have a button with a class of button, so that we can have the green button. And then the text is going to say upload image, like so. And then below this button, is it outside the input? Let's go right where? Let's go outside this article. And outside this article, we're going to have a div with a class of image dash container, like so. And then inside here, we're going to have our image. So for now, we're not going to display anything because we don't have the image component yet. So I'm going to save this, and let's see how this looks. And there we go. Okay, so the first thing that you should notice is when you click on this, then it's going to open up your file explorer, just to show you that this is already working, the functionality for this. Okay, well, technically it is, but when you try to, where you can select something, right? But you know, nothing shows up yet. Okay, so now that we have our styling done, okay, we already have our styling done. That's why I prefer to do it like this. Then what I'm going to do is right at the top, we can begin importing everything that we need. So we need to import use state, which is going to handle our state values. So use state is coming from React. We also need to import Axios from Axios, which we're going to use to send post requests to our API. And then the third thing that you need to do is import the image component from Cloudinary React, like so. And this is what we're going to be using to render our image right here. Now, when you hover over this, it's going to show you that image is declared but never used. No, not this one. It's going to say could not find a declaration file. That's because if you look at the documentation for this in npm.js, what you're going to find is it was built for React 17, okay? And they have not yet released the technically the version for React 18. Okay, so but you know, you can still use it inside here and it's going to work. Okay, so once you have that, then we can begin setting up our state values. So the first state value we're going to need is one to hold the files that we select. So we're going to say const selected images and set selected images is equal to use state, and by default I'm just going to set it to an empty array. Okay, so what we're going to do is I'm going to go inside the input and I'm going to set the onChange attribute of the input, and I'm going to set it into set selected images into e.target.files, and then select the first file like so. So what this does is this input is going to be populated by the first file that we click on, which is why we are specifying files.0, because arrays start at 0. Okay, they are indexed from 0 and then they go on +1 +1 +1. Okay, and then on the button we're going to have an on-click function on the button, and when you click on this we just want to call a function called upload image, which we are going to create. So right at the top we're going to create this function. I'm going to say const upload image is equal to our arrow function like so, and then here we're going to do something interesting. So I'm going to say const form data is equal to new form data. Okay, so what this does is, and this is very nifty, in VS Code I can hover over it and it's going to show me what this does. So if I hover over it, it's going to say it provides a way to easily construct a set of key value pairs representing form fields and their values. So that's what this form data constructor does. Okay, and then below this we're just going to say form data dot dot append. Okay, and then we're going to be appending the file, and this file is going to be set into selected images, right? Because this is the state value that is populated when you run this function, and we're running this function right here on the input. So when we select the file here, it sets that file into this state value, and we are checking for this state value when we append it to the data. Okay, and we're going to talk more about this, where we have this file and where we have this, once we get into the endpoint for our API. And then we're also going to say form data.append, and we're going to be appending what is called upload preset, and then this is going to be set to a certain value, okay, which I'm going to show you where we're going to get it. And actually, no, let's just go ahead. So if you go into cloudinary.com and you go into the documentation, and inside references you can just go into upload API right here. So you're going to find that the endpoint for this is going to be HTTPS this, and then the demo is the name of your cloud name, and then image/upload, right? Now if you scroll down just a bit, right to around, let me see if I can find it, right here. Okay, so because we're going to be using the unsigned upload syntax, okay, we're going to be using this syntax, so we need to append the file and the upload preset in the API endpoint, which is this right here. Okay, not this one, it is this one. This is the API endpoint. So at the end of this we need to append the file and the upload preset. Okay, that's why we have this one here, and that's why we also have this. Now because you already know that the file is going to be coming from what we select from our file explorer, let me show you where we can get our upload preset. If you go into your account, and you can just go into settings right here, loading. Okay, so once you go into settings, then you can go into upload right here, so upload, and then you can scroll down to here. Okay, so if most likely if you're creating a new account, you are not going to have this. Okay, but for now I'm just going to use this. Now if you don't have this, what you can do is you can say add upload preset, so you can click on this, and then this is going to be your preset name. I think you can change this, can you? Yeah, you can change this. And what you're going to do is you're going to change the signing mode into unsigned like so, and then once you have that, then you don't really need to change anything else. If you want, you can go through this to see how it's going to work, but you're going to change that into unsigned, and then you can just click on save, and then once it saves, then it's going to create your new upload preset for you. Now remember, you can just copy this. Actually, you know what, you can just go ahead and copy your upload preset right there. So I'm just going to copy this one, And this is going to be set inside a string. Remember that we are passing the upload preset as a string. Okay, so don't pass it in without the quotes. So once we have this, then we can go ahead and create our post request using Axios. So I'm going to create another function inside here. So I'm going to say const post image is equal to now an asynchronous function, because I like asynchronous functions. And this, we're going to create a try catch block. So just try catch block like so. And inside the try block, what I'm going to do is I'm just going to say const response. So the response that we get back is equal to await axios.post. And then we're going to be posting a certain link inside here. And the link is going to be, let's go back to our thing. Where was it? This one. So this is going to be the link. Okay, so let me just copy this and paste it inside here. Now we need to change this cloud name into our actual cloud name. So let's go ahead and check where we're going to find this. If you go back into your console and go into the dashboard, so your cloud name is going to be whatever you have inside here. I've just set mine to Sankara. Very simple, right? So you can just copy that. Now make sure that you use your actual cloud name inside here. Okay, please do make sure that you do that. Okay, so I'm just going to paste that inside here. And then the action, we have seen that the action is going to be the upload, because we are uploading. Okay, and as you can see in this example request right here, so the action is upload. And then what we're going to do is at the end of this, we're going to be appending the form data that we created right here. Okay, so we are going to be appending the file at the end of this, and then we're also going to be appending the upload preset, so that this is going to actually work. If you don't have these two, then this request is not going to work. Okay, so once you have that, then what I'm going to do is I'm just going to say console log the response like so. And then in the catch block, I'm just going to say console.error and just console error, the error that we have in case this fails. Okay, so outside of this function block, which ends right here, then I'm just going to say post image. Actually, is it outside of this or outside the entire block? Oh, we're going to find out in a moment. Okay, so we have the function right here, and I think this should be working correctly. So let's go ahead and save this and let's try it out. So let's go into our application, and then we can open up our console F12 like so. So we have no errors. Okay. Now let me just go back into our media library inside here so that we check that everything is going to be working correctly. So let's say choose file. Let's upload this one. Let's say upload image, and we should see something. Okay, so it's working. Look at that. So we have our data here. We have our config, but we don't really need all this. We have the data. So the access mode is set to public. The asset ID is set to this. It was created at this time, and we have, where is it? The original file name, which is screenshot 4. So this is correct. We have the public ID, which is going to be important to us, and then we have the secure URL. Okay, so let me just show you. If you try to go into the secure URL inside here, okay, so just copy this, open it on a new tab, and paste it inside here without the quotes. Then we're going to have our image that we uploaded. Look at that. Okay, so that means that this is uploaded successfully. And if we go into our console and just reload this, then we should see it, hopefully. And there we go. So our image has uploaded successfully, right? Now the next thing that we're going to do is we need to display the image. We need to display the image on the bottom once we upload it, right? Okay, so what we're going to do is something very interesting. Right inside here, I'm going to remove this comment, and then I'm going to render my image component. Okay, now for now it's not going to show anything because obviously it has nothing, but this image component takes in two props, and the first prop that is going to take in is the cloud name. So cloud name, and obviously my cloud name is very short, very easy to remember. So set this cloud name into your actual cloud name, and then I'm going to pass in the public ID. Okay, so the public ID is coming from right inside here. Okay, this is very important to us because if you look at the secure URL, then the public ID is what is appended to the end of the public URL, which accesses the asset or that matches this ID. Okay, so what I'm going to do is inside here, because the upload ID is going to be changing for every image, right? We can try again and upload another image just to show you. If I upload the screenshot 5 and I go into the data for screenshot 5 right inside here, the public ID changes, right? However, this first part of the secure URL does not change. So we need to be dynamically changing the public ID at the end of the secure URL in order to display the image. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to copy this link, and actually I think I already copied it, right? Okay, yeah. So inside here we're going to set our equal sign and then our curly brackets, and then we're going to place template literals, which are backticks, because we want to add the variables inside here. And then I'm just going to paste in this link like so, remove these double quotes, and then at the end of this I'm going to remove this as well. Okay, and then what I'm going to do is we want to access dollar sign like so first of all, and then we want to access public underscore ID. Now, however, we don't know where this is coming from, right? So instead of saying public underscore ID, what we need to do is once we have the response inside here, we need to add a state value that is going to be holding this response, and then we can access that state value inside here. Okay, so I'm going to create another state value below this where I'm going to say const image data. Oops, const image data and set image data. This is going to be equal to use state, and by default it's just going to be an empty string. Okay, and then right around here, so below the console.log, I'm going to say set image data into the response dot data. Okay, so I'm saying response dot data because the data object inside here is what is holding all of this data. Okay, and that's way too many times to say data. Okay, so once we have that, then we can go inside here and then we can say image data dot public ID, and then this should work hopefully. So let's go ahead and save this, and let's see whether it's going to display something on the screen. And it displays this image because this is undefined. Okay, now let's go ahead and try and upload screenshot 6. Let's see if this is going to work. Probably don't get an error. Okay, so there we go. So our upload thingy is working. Okay, now I just want to mention something. Okay, this is going to be very interesting. Now this is working correctly, right? We can see that it is working correctly. Okay, and if you upload another image, then the public ID should change and it should render something else, right? It should render the image that you upload. So let's try that and look at that. Okay, so this is working as it should, and even if you go into your console, then it's going to be working correctly. And you might think that, okay, you know what, I don't have any errors inside here, so that would mean that everything is working correctly, and you know, but the thing is, there's a very sneaky let me call it a bug. There's a very sneaky bug in this application. I can't remember how I did it, but I was running npm install and it was showing nothing on the screen. Even though my application is working, it shows nothing on the screen. Okay, so I can't really replicate that, and I don't remember how I did it actually, but I'm going to show you how I fixed it. So what I did was, using this very same state value, we're going to go back right inside our image, right inside here, and we're going to cut this out. Remember to cut it out, okay? And we're going to say only when image data is true, that's when we want to upload, we want to display our image, okay? Now what this does is, because this is the true thing, and what it does is it's only going to show this component when this is true, and by default this is false because it is an empty string. Remember, an empty string in JavaScript is false. Okay, so I'm going to save this, and then let's try and reload this, and this error should disappear. So you can see we no longer have that error, right? We no longer have that error, and then you can choose file, and then you can upload a file inside here, and then upload image, and then it should show. There we go. Okay, now something else that you should probably note: if you have an image that has a greater height than your viewport heights, what is going to happen is, and let me see if I can change the CSS a bit. Let me change this. Let's set the height for this to be 80 viewport heights. Let me see if that is going to bring the error. Okay, so look at this. Let me set it to 100 viewport heights so that you can see it clearly. Okay, so the error that we're going to have inside here is, if you have an image with a greater height, then it pushes this upwards and outside of the screen as well as this, so you're not going to be able to be uploading the image. So what you can do is you can remove this from here, come on, and then insert the wrapper. Now, instead of setting this to each screen, what I'm going to do is I'm just going to say margin on the Y of 20, which is going to place margin on the top and bottom, so that there's always going to be margin no matter what happens, so that this and the input and the upload button are not pushed upwards and outside of the screen. Okay, so the next thing that I'm going to do is, because we're already done with this project right now, I just want to remove this console log. And then I want to upload this to my GitHub, so into this repository. And then of course I'm going to change this once again. I'm going to change all of this, and everything should work correctly. Okay, so that is going to be it. It's a very simple project, really a very simple project. And as you can see, all the images that we uploaded are right inside here. And if you want to delete them, then you can delete them just by selecting them like this, and then you can just say delete. Okay, so that is going to be it, and I'm going to close this down. And yeah, so thank you guys for watching, and I hope you learned something new, and see you in the next video. Bye bye.